Thank you, Brother Allen. Yes, I texted him before. I was like, PTLH, praise the Lord, hallelujah, I can come. I was really nervous that I wasn't going to be able to make it. But we serve a God who answers prayers. And my Sunday school class this morning prayed over me, and I'm grateful for all of the people who just helped me out the door, even the men who put me in the car. So thank y'all for that. I'm really excited to be here tonight. I feel weird standing behind this because I can't really see you all. Short gal. But I'm really excited because you're my home church. But I'm also excited because this is around Thanksgiving, and every year I make a list of all the things I'm thankful for. And of course I put Jesus, he died on the cross, and then I put my family, and then third on the list was my Alaska mission, because God really revealed himself to me in a way that he had never done before. And as we go through my PowerPoint, I'm just going to talk about it and just kind of share what God leads me to, what he prompts me to do. I've really been sick all day. Could you tell I just woke up when I called you? Okay, that's good. That makes me feel better. I can really play it off well. So if you want to go on to the next slide for me. This is South Baptist Church. That's primarily where we worked out of. I want everyone to hold up their hand. Okay, turn it this way. That makes Alaska. This here is Anchorage. This is Fairbanks, kind of not really in the middle, but kind of a fourth of the way down. And that is Salcha, where I was. And Salcha has less than 1,000 people in it. It had one gas station and one little restaurant thing that had a gas pump, but you couldn't use it. It was really tiny. And I thought I was from a small town. No, y'all, we're big compared to Salcha where I was. And y'all, this church is beautiful, but it was really filled with beautiful people. They have about 50 members every Sunday, and I miss them all so much. I could cry. My co-counselor, one of them, there was a team of 10. Basil, you want to wave? Basil right there is here tonight, and we were talking, and we just miss it so much as we get close to finals and Christmas. It's hard to believe we've been home longer than we were there, but we just love the people, and we still keep in touch. So, thank you. So this is my Mississippi team. You see Basil. Basil. That's not her real name. Her name is Jenna. My name is Shelby, but in Alaska, my name was Rosemary Sage. We were asked to leave our identities at home and adopt a new name. And no one was allowed to know our real name until the end if we wanted to share. And so Rosemary Sage will forever be my name in Alaska. In the red is Coriander. His real name is Clay. He's studying at Mississippi State University. He's an engineering major. And then beside him is Caraway. He's from Clinton. His real name is Caleb Collins. He's a biomedical engineer. And then on the end in the blue is Cobalt. And Cobalt, that's not a spice name. It's a color. So he had been there several years in a row, and he actually met the love of his life there from South Carolina, Sicily, and he proposed to her while we were there. So it was super duper exciting for all of us. We have a wedding to go to in a couple of weeks that we're really excited about, so it's going to be this giant reunion. Thank you. And then this is all of us. This is South Carolina too. The guy on the end, Dill, he is a cool dude. He's at Clemson now. He's studying sports management. The guy in the plaid matching me is my big brother, Cilantro. I'm the oldest in my family, so I have two younger brothers. And me and Cilantro just really hit it off. He's going into ministry, and he's coming down for the wedding, and he's bringing the love of his life, Carrie-Ann, so that I can quiz her and see if she's good enough. But I think she is. I've heard a lot about her, and I'm really excited for them in their life. Up top in the glasses with the beautiful blonde hair is Curry. And Curry and I were total opposites, but we spent the most time together because we shared cabin 3 for a couple weeks. And she's a business major at Clemson too. And then Caper, if you see Caraway in the blue, Caper's right there up top. Caper is graduating in May, and she just accepted a job to be a school teacher in a nice private Christian school in South Carolina. So very excited for her. I expect a ring by spring too from her Gavin, and we're very excited. We'll have another wedding to go to. And then down below, you see Cobalt and Cicely there together. And so y'all, my team was amazing. Like, God just really brought us together. And I never had a support system like that until I got there. And even in college, I was reading through my prayer journal like 4 days ago. And I wrote in there July 30th. I was getting ready to go to college. Some of you know me, so you know I was like bound and determined to go to Mississippi College. That is where I was going, and I was in FFA, and I ran for president. I was like, I'm either going to do this or I'm going to do that. And God was like, girl, no, you're not. Have y'all ever had an experience like that? Yeah, they're the most eye-opening, and I'm so thankful for that unanswered prayer. You know, and so I wrote in there, Lord, thank you for giving me peace about Pearl River. And Lord, I just need to know, what do you want me to do? Like, what is my purpose? And help me to love you more than I already do. And I got plugged in with the BSU, and he showed me that my purpose was to serve. And yes, I went all the way to Alaska to do it. But ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that you can serve right here. You don't have to go all the way to Alaska to serve. There are more people in Purvis than there are in that little town of Salcha, and a lot of them need Jesus. And so I want you to think about that as we continue. That's really what God revealed to me. The most important thing he did was the Great Commission. And I want to read that, actually, because it's so important. And Daniel, you hit on it this morning, and I was like, yes. So I'm just going to read that out. Jesus came and told his disciples, I've been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I've given you, and be sure of this, I'm with you always, even to the end of the age. So each one of us have spiritual gifts, and yours may be speaking, it may be teaching. I don't know what it is. Pray about it, and God will reveal it to you. And then you need to use it, because God has a purpose for you right where you are, in your home, in your school, in your community, at your job, wherever it may be. God has something for you right there. Thank you. So this is Reuben, and if you notice, I'm wearing like a long sleeve shirt, a jacket, pants, and I had on boots that day. I was freezing to death at 62 degrees, and Reuben came, and he just jumped into my lap, had no idea who the kid was, but I fell in love immediately. He's 4 years old, and he happened to be a part of my host family. And my host family had 7 kids, and so it was so neat. And me and Reuben, we just got so close. Their family gets pigs every year to slaughter for the family meat, you know, for bacon. Who loves bacon? Right, you gotta have it. Me too. So we go in for dinner. And I'm so excited because we had a great day that day in boot camp. Run in, and Miss Carrie was our mom, and our host mom, and she says, I got to tell you something. Yes, ma'am. Like, I almost thought I was in trouble, like her tone. And she's like, Reuben named the family pig after you. He named it Rosemary, and we're going to slaughter it in October. But I just wanted to warn you before he told you about it. I'm like, oh, Miss Carrie, that's fine. I'm an ag major. Like, let's go. That's what we do. We slaughter pigs. And so Rosemary, though, was a feisty little thing. She got out a lot while I was there, and it was always a running joke between us about Rosemary the pig. And so before I left, Reuben had to point at the pig for me. So sweet. They did slaughter it already, just so you know. Go ahead. So this is on the second day after you caught me in my layers and boots. Me and Basil went swimming. And I just want you to think of winter with like some snow and going out there and jumping in a lake. Y'all ever done that? No, because it's crazy. Oh, one guy. Well, it was accident. Okay, that's good. I was about to say because it's crazy. That's why you don't do it. But we did it, and they acted like it was going to be so warm and we were going to be fine. We didn't stay in for 20 minutes, 25 tops. We were out of there. It was so cold, but it was fun. And we were the first missionaries to ever swim with them, so they were happy about it. This is just to show you the culture that we were in. Less than 1,000 people, freezing water, and we call ourselves redneck too. We ain't got nothing on these people. Do you see that tarp? That's a giant hole in the ground, and they called it the gloom of doom. Okay? It was doom. It was bad. It was gloomy in there. It was murky. It was freezing. There was ice, literal ice. And then that cage thing, every week we competed at camp. And whoever got the most points, their cabin, like that was the whole goal. Your cabin got the most points. You memorized Bible verses. You did teamwork. You did things for each other. And whoever's cabin won, they got to pick who went in the cage. Thank goodness I never went in there. Like I would have died. Just look at that. It's just too much. Again, I adopted a lot of people, and I really got close to Grandpa Pat and KK. They had just started coming to church about 9 months before I actually got there, and when I was there, he actually had a scare. They found something on his lung, and I wrote the sweet ladies at home and asked for prayer, and they were praying, and it came back that he was okay. And so we were so thankful for that. And the more time I spent with their family, just the closer I got to them. And it hasn't ended since I've been home. And so that's nice because we're still really close. So this is Paula's greenhouse. Paula, I didn't get a picture with her, but Paula was this lady who had it all. Like she had money, she had her family, she lost her husband a few years prior, and she was a widow, but like she was okay with it. And she's also an atheist. She didn't believe in God. And every year missionaries went to her house and visited her. And so they kind of recruited me because I just love people, and they're like, you're going to go. And so I started praying. I even wrote home. And then we all went and we planted flowers. And then Cicely and I went back and we painted her greenhouse for her. And even when we talked to her and she was just like, I don't need God. And that can be really discouraging sometimes. But if you have anyone that you know like that, just continue to pray and reach out and let them know that you're always there for them. And that's how I've been with Paula. Since I've been home, I've written her. She's a lovely lady, like the most, we live in the hospitality state, but she had this huge thing of cookies waiting on us when we got there to do her work. She had an ice chest. She was just beautiful. It was like a party, and we were coming to work. And she was just so nice to us. And she named all of her animals. And this cookie, this squirrel ran by and grabbed a cookie off the platter, and she acted like it was totally normal. And I was like, that's not normal. And she named it George. And we put a Bible verse on there, John 14:6. He is the way, the truth, and the light. Oh, yeah. So moose, no snakes, nothing like that we had to worry about. Basil is a witness. We had to worry about moose. Oh, I'm sorry. We had to worry about moose all the time. And so when we were driving, we'd have to definitely drive the speed limit. People would be passing us like crazy. And we would go the speed limit because we were scared to death that we would hit a moose. Because, they don't stop for anything. They just walk out in front of you. And if you hit one of them, your car's gone. So, anyway. All right, this was my favorite part. I forgot to tell y'all what our job actually was as a team. I was bragging because I love my team so much, and it slipped my mind. We worked at the church. We taught Sunday school. We worked with widows anywhere in the community that they needed us, and Mark was our supervisor. If he could come up with something for us to do, like mow the yard, I mowed the yard every week. And when I say the yard, it was like acres. They had land, which was really cool, and we would have a picnic every Sunday out there, and we really enjoyed that. But our main job was camp. That was the main thing that we wanted to focus on, because if kids would come to camp, if their parents didn't know about God, maybe they could take it back home. And that's the same way with our church and with any ministry. If you can involve the kids and they get saved and they realize that, hey, God is real, Jesus died on the cross for my sins, then they go home and they share with mom and dad. Then a lot of times mom and dad will be like, okay, I want to come check this out. And so that's what happened with camp. This is kindergarten week. I just love them. I could, seriously, I'll cry looking at it. I miss them so much. The girl that I'm standing with, I'm sorry. Go back one time. The girl I'm standing with on the end is Bristol, and she was the first salvation that we had at camp. We were super excited because she was older. She was in 2nd grade, but she was also from Soucha. Our camp was in Delta Junction, which was about an hour and a half or 2 hours away, depending on how many moose were on Highway 2. And so we were praying for her. We knew her grandmother really well. Actually adopted her grandmother. She's from Florida, but she married a man from Mississippi, and he passed away, and so we just called her family. We all called her Aunt Gina or Mama G. And so we knew Bristol, and we were praying for Bristol because she understood. And she had the best questions, didn't she, Basil? She could ask some stuff, and it was amazing. And we pulled out a pallet on the floor for them, and we just had the best time that week. And she was just amazing. And to see her get saved that week, and then to watch her at Sunday school every week after, and just to see how she grew was the biggest blessing. And this is K through 4th grade. Besides junior high, this was my toughest week, because all of these girls had needs, and every one of them were in my cabin for a reason. And I knew, just based on my life and their life and how everything was going, I knew that God put them there for a reason, and I was trying to reach every single one of them. And so Allie, the little girl sitting in the chair, her mom was battling cancer, and her dad was a pastor of First Baptist Church of North Pole, Alaska. And so she came. It's like a 3.5-hour drive to camp. And during that week, we knew that her mom was going through an intense surgery. And every night when I would get in bed and pray with my campers, every camper in the cabin wanted to pray for Allie's mom. And they had no idea about the surgery or anything, just their hearts were so sweet and so kind, and they wanted to pray, and so we did. Every night we all prayed for Allie's mom, and even at lunch when I would ask a girl to pray, she would bring Allie's mom into it, and at the end of the week, they all got to meet Allie's mother, and they were so excited, because when you pray for someone, you just love them. I don't know if y'all have ever experienced that, you've been praying for somebody, and immediately you just kind of feel like you know them. Yeah, no? Yeah, okay, some nods. Well, that's how it was, and they were all so excited to meet her and to see her, and I was excited that she was well enough to come pick Allie up and take her home because Allie missed her all week. Allie was our youngest camper in the group with these girls. And then the girl in the sleeping bag, Alyssa's family didn't believe in God at all. Her neighbor, her parents, McKenna was her name, her parents let her come to camp the year before, and they decided to let her come to camp again while they took their son on a camping trip. And so it was just so neat how God worked the whole thing out. We had a waiting list, and McKenna was the last one on it. Like, she was our cutoff. And then we brought Alyssa on, and so Alyssa was our cutoff. And we got McKenna in, but she was in a different cabin. And then we pulled Alyssa in, and Alyssa came in 2 days later than everybody else. So immediately she was behind, and you know how camp is, or school, or anything. When you come in a little bit later, it's harder. And so we were all really worried about her, but she did so good. We talked, and during break, she didn't want to go play. She wanted to read the Bible. And so we would sit on the porch and read the Bible. And then I asked her, I was like, do you have a Bible? And she's like, no. And so I gave her a Bible, and that's what she wanted to do the whole time. She would, even at night, a girl brought a book lamp, and she was reading her Bible, and she would ask really good questions too. And at the end, Mark had no idea what was going on, and he was delivering the sermon, and just to see how God worked it out, he talked about a question that she had asked earlier that day about Jesus and what he did for us. And I was like, well, I'm going to cover that tonight after our devotion because I knew it was coming for her to get saved, and I really wanted her to understand it completely. And Mark covered it at campfire, and then she got saved. And it was amazing. I did my happy dance. I was so excited. It was a great moment there. And maybe she went home and talked to her parents about it, and maybe they'll come to know Jesus too. Thank you. This is Sierra and Annie. They're sisters. Sierra was in my cabin, and she got saved that week as well. And their parents were construction workers, and they worked with the union. And so as I got to know them and talk to them, they were just the sweetest girls ever. And Annie kind of adopted this nickname at camp as Grandpa. She was lively, is what I like to say. And she reminded me a lot of me when I was a kid. And so I kept saying, that is like the younger version of myself. And Caper was a counselor in Cabin 4, and she was just kind of like, you can have her, you can spend time with her. And so that's what I did. And it was just amazing to see those two accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior too. But I share that, like, these were my girls that I kind of got to impact, but it isn't about anything that I did. It's all about God. God just put me there, and he could have put somebody else there. I just happened to be the one during that moment. And so it's a great blessing. Thank you. This is junior high week. Basil's laughing. This week was tough. This is when junior high is when they were really focused on boys, and they had been coming to camp for years. And so they knew about everything we had to tell them. They couldn't learn anything from us. And they didn't really like each other, my cabin, in the beginning of the week. And I was nervous. I was like, Curry, this is not going to be good. And she was like, we just got to pray. And that's what we did. We prayed a lot. And at the end of the week, we pulled the mattresses down, and they were all on the floor making matching friendship bracelets, happy as can be. And Rose actually rededicated her life to Christ. So it was a great blessing that week. It was tough, but it was wonderful, and wouldn't change anything that happened that week for anything in the world. This is Olivia, and Olivia is just something special. She is 14 years old, but she is spiritually mature beyond her age. And she actually got to help out at camp a lot. Every week she was there with us. And even though she wasn't a counselor, she couldn't go through boot camp, she just wasn't old enough yet, we just kind of adopted her under our wing. And she also had really good questions, and we just would sit down and study the Bible together, and I would learn from her, and it was amazing. I talked to her this week, and she actually just moved to Oklahoma. So she's not very far away, so I'm excited about that. And she's coming to the wedding. And this is Condi. And Condi is something really, really special. She is half Chinese, and her dad was a veteran in the military. And the reason I tell you that she's half Chinese is because the culture is completely different. She can speak full Chinese. She goes to China during the summers to spend time with her family. And it's really tough for her, the way that her mom holds her at a really high standard. And she was sharing that with me. And we talked about just her life. And in Alaska, during the summer, the sun is out 24 hours a day. The lowest it got was like a half sunset. And then it went up to full sun again. And we loved it. But during the winter time, it's completely dark, and it's sad, and it's depressing, and they have the highest suicide rate there. It's a real problem, and it's something that we had to talk about with our campers. And Condi shared that last winter she was really close to committing suicide, and so we kind of had to just think of ways for her to talk with her mom. Like, our moms love us more than anything in the world, right, moms? And y'all want us to talk to you and to share, and so that's what we told Condi. And I met her mother. Like, her mother was just really nice, but just the culture that her mom grew up in was really harsh, and she wanted her to be the best at everything. All A's, number one on the basketball court. If you're going to play basketball, you need to be number one on the track field. Everything. And so that was really tough for her. But I've talked to her since then, and she has a mentor now, and she's being discipled by her mom's good friend. And so it works out because she kind of has like a buffer, and God just worked the entire thing out. And she's doing a Bible study called The Heart of the Problem, and if you've never heard of that, I really encourage you to check it out. That is to show you the work that we did. Lots of wood to be chopped in Alaska. That was one of our jobs, was to chop wood for the widows. And y'all, that little pile, I'm proud to say that I did that one all by myself with an axe. But I was definitely a better wood stacker than I was a chopper. And that lawnmower is the one that I used every week. But I didn't weigh enough to actually sit on it. So they didn't know this redneck trick. And if you don't know it, you can get your kids to mow now. You know, you can ratchet strap it down and tie it off, and they can mow. So my dad taught me that one. I've been mowing for a long time. The farmer's market was something that we really enjoyed going to. That's a picture of the one in Delta Junction, but every Saturday, the Soucha had a farmer's market outside of the gas station there, and so we like to stop by and see Miss Nagy and just visit with her. She had a farm. She said, "Oh, it's just a hobby." No, it's not. You have 500 chickens? That's a farm. That's a lot of chickens. So, yeah. Thank you. Oh, yes. So this is the Soucha Roadhouse. We actually got the privilege of going there and doing some work for them. It's owned by Miss Karen and her husband. And her husband is actually the postman in Soucha, and they were just going through a really tough time while we were there because the post office came up for bid. I don't know if y'all know what that means. It came up for someone else to have the job if they wanted it. And in this area, you have to drive like an hour and 15 minutes to Fairbanks to work or 45 to North Pole. And so most people here, they either work as a postman, they work at the Soucha store, they work at this restaurant, they would log, that's it. Like our host family logged, and that's all the jobs that are there. And so it was really important that they had some help to just kind of make things easier. And since there was 10 of us, we always say that many hands make little work. And so we pulled together and just kind of did some work over there. And then I actually got to go back and waitress for them some and just kind of help out while they were fixing everything in the back. So that was neat. I work at a restaurant, so I just felt right at home. And I see how God used my previous jobs and my relationship with my family, my parents, and just everything while I was on the field. Before I went, I felt so unqualified. I was. But God qualified me while I was on the field, and He revealed that to me, and that was the best part. Besides the salvations, that was pretty cool too. PTLH. This is Mark, my supervisor. Mark is like Superman on steroids. The man never stops. We go to sleep when it gets dark. It's daylight there all the time. And so Mark, I don't think he knew what sleep was during the summer, and there was always something to do, and so we were always doing it. That's why we were so tired. That's why I was the worst co-pilot ever. I would fall asleep everywhere, and I still feel so bad about the whole thing. Y'all are never going to let me ride up front on any road trip we go on. Mark had 5 kids. He was the preacher. He was the camp director. There was no way he could do it all. It was just all God. And so that was really amazing to see how God used him in so many different capacities. And he will be coming down for the wedding. Also, he's officiating it, so that's cool. And this is Miss Lynn. Miss Lynn was very special to me. Her and her husband drive from North Carolina, and they serve every year as cooks, and they just kind of help out. She's a nurse, and so she just kind of was our nurse the whole time. I got really sick while I was there, and Miss Lynn finally was like, "You cannot take any more NyQuil. You have to go to the doctor." And I was like, "Okay, Miss Lynn, yes, ma'am." And so she was super duper sweet, but she was also just an inspiration to see how her and Mr. Dale would just give up all of their time to go and road trip all the way to Alaska in their RV to serve. Amazing. I talked to her this week, and she shared with me that they don't know if they'll be able to go back next summer just because of their health. And so just please keep them in your prayers. They are it. We need them to help run the camp, or someone is going to have to replace them. And it's hard to find someone who's just willing to give their time and not be paid for it. And then finally, on our last Sunday, we had 6 baptisms. And so it's a huge blessing to see people who come forward to go through baptism, because it's just they're letting the world know, hey, I am saved, and I know that Jesus Christ is real, and they're ready to live that out. And so that was my favorite Sunday that we were there. And then afterwards, we went out on the lake with a lot of people and went tubing, and I was sore for the next 3 weeks. I was still sore when we came home. It was so bad, but it was so much fun. Is that the last one? Oh, yes. Okay. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. And if you spend a lot of time with me, you know that I say that all the time, but it's because it's true. God is wonderful, and He is faithful, and He proved that to me on this mission trip. I almost backed out last minute. My grandfather got really sick, and I went to my BSU director, and I was like, I really feel like I need to be at home taking care of my grandfather and just helping him get through this, be there for my family. And my BSU director was like, I think this is you trying to get out of it. You are called. And I was. God called me without a doubt. And I have an opportunity to go back this summer, but I've been praying about it, and I realized that God isn't calling me this time. I look at my time there like this. I was the flower delivery girl, and God sent the flowers. It's definitely not about me. It's all about him and what he did this summer. I could talk about it forever. I had the best time of my life there this summer. I grew more than I've ever grown. To see how God prepared me and just used different tools and different Bible studies before I went. And then when I got there, I could apply it, and then people got saved, and then I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Like, nothing can top this. And you mentioned that today. You said that nothing can compare to serving the Lord, and that is true. But I don't feel called to go on any mission this summer. I feel called to be right here. And there are people here who need the Lord, who know, like they've heard. We live in the Bible Belt. They have heard about God, but they just, there's something there. Like there's some reason that they don't want to get to know him, or they don't want to step foot in a church. So we need to bring the church to them. We need missionaries right here in Purvis, Mississippi, or in Hattiesburg, or wherever. And so I'm praying about what God has for me this summer. Me and Basil were talking. She feels the same way. She's going to be in the area, and so maybe we can tag team, serve together this summer again. But anyway, thank y'all for your time. Do y'all have any questions? I know I talked a lot, but do you have anything that you just really want to know? It can even be like about the food. A lot of people ask me about the food and what I ate. Anything. Yeah? What was the food and what I eat? So we ate a lot of salmon. We ate some halibut. We had a lot of like hamburger meat, I'd say. I got really tired of it, like really quick. Moose meat, you could get it in like Alaska, and it didn't have like fat in it, like beef. Like it was just meat. So I ate peanut butter, and I got so hungry, I would sleep eat, y'all, like no joke. I was like eating in my sleep. I thought the kids were taking my snacks, and the kids would wake me up in the morning and they'd be like, Rosemary, are you okay? Yes, why? You were eating last night. We thought something was in here. So we ate some crazy stuff. We had some crazy casseroles, lasagnas, like things that just we don't eat down here. Aunt Gina made us biscuits and gravy, and I kid you not, my little 110-pound self ate 4 plates. And then Grandpa Pat and KK, Basil, just close your ears, would sneak me brownies. She's about to fly. So, and I'm so sorry. Like, I'm apologizing right now. I wouldn't share them. I ate them all by myself. So I ate brownies and all my snacks, salt and vinegar chips and peanut butter. And I love salmon. Like, I like it at home, so I really enjoyed the salmon when we had it. But my mom was worried. She was like, you really need to eat something. I'm like, Mom, this moose meat, this don't taste like deer. So any more questions about anything? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so every week I had about 10. And so 50, and I can still name every single one of them. And so, like, that was the best part. The kids, and the church, and the people, and my team. There was just so many good parts. And Carolyn, I loved it. But I had 50 kids, and we had 5 salvations and a rededication. And then we had 6 baptisms. And like the 5 salvations, that doesn't count the boys or Caper or any of the other cabins. So that was just in cabin 3. And so it was amazing. Any more questions? Okay. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.